If you want to write a book to take your business to the next level, but you're just too busy, or maybe you think that it will take too long, think again. My guest expert today has developed a system for writing a professional nonfiction book in just 3 days that people just like you have used to transform their business and their lives. So today you'll discover the 3 secrets to writing a bestseller in just 3 days. Grow your wealth, live on your terms. Hello, powerful people. Welcome to the Conversations with Experts, the show that allows you to connect with experts in different areas of life. I'm Millen, the host of the show and holistic financial independence mentor. There are a lot of people, especially women, who experience money worries and anxiety about financial future. Inflation, high gas prices, crashing stock and cryptocurrency markets, looming recession, all of this pressure adds more stress to our already hectic, busy lives. However, it's never too late to start controlling your money, so it's not controlling you. And that's my zone of expertise. I help people who struggle with money worries to develop a unique blueprint pathway to financial independence so they never worry about money again. And you can start planning your way to financial success by downloading my wealth planner for free. And here's the link to this wealth planner. So download it and start working your way through this wealth planner right away. Okay, so now let's talk about 3 secrets to writing a bestseller in 3 days. And my multi-talented and brilliant guest today is Violette to the screen. Ellen, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So I know we chatted before, and I'm very impressed with your background. But let me introduce you officially, okay? So Violette, I love the last name and the first name. Ellen is a Grammy-nominated songwriter, award-winning book coach, author of several number one bestsellers, and founder of Books Open Doors. Since 2004, Ellen helps high-achieving coaches, speakers, and founders write a professional nonfiction book, make it a number one bestseller, and use it to up-level their business, get on the best stages, and make more money and leave a lasting legacy. Whether you want to write your book on your own, or you want to have someone who will help you to write it, Ellen's company, Books Open Doors, can help you. All right, Ellen, thank you very much again for being here. I have a lot of questions, and welcome again.
Great. Bring them on.
Yeah. Okay, like I said, a lot of questions that I would like you to answer so our audience will really get the secrets that you have, because you've done it for so long and you have a lot of clients. So how can if you want to, let's say if I want to write my next book, because I've written a couple of books already, how do I get started so I will not feel overwhelmed, so I will feel that it's a really good topic and that it will not take for the rest of my life to write this book?
Right. Well, the first thing that people have to do, or should do, and most do not do, is marketing research. And the reason that I'm completely confident saying write a bestseller is because when you do the marketing research, you know that there's an audience for it. You know that there's a problem you solve that they want, and you know how to position your book and get the visibility on Amazon to make it a bestseller. So those are the things that you have to do. The next thing that you have to do, this is the most important thing for avoiding overwhelm and stress, is the outline. The outline is very important. And one of the things that always surprises me when I teach this is how many people don't do the outline. And when I say, and if they get stuck, it's always because they didn't do the outline. And I'll say, well, did you do the outline? And they'll say, no. And I'll say, why not? And they go, I don't know. Or like, oh, I thought I had it in my head. I actually started asking people why they didn't do it. I thought I knew. I thought I didn't need it. You need to write it down. You always need to write it down. Because when you write it down, you can see it, and then you can see, what's in there, what's not in there, what did I leave out, what did I put in that maybe isn't exactly pertinent to this particular book. So the clearer your outline is and the more detailed it is, the faster you can write your book.
Wonderful. I don't remember who said this. Maybe it was Wayne Dyer, or maybe I heard it from another author who said that not only they have an outline, they actually start with the title for the book, and they almost like visualize the cover for the book, and that helps them to get into kind of energetic state of creating this, right?
Yeah.
This book.
Well, when I say marketing research, one of the things that we do in the marketing research is coming up with the title.
And that's that you do that before people start writing it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. When people come to me, or even if they've already written a book and they're coming to us to publish, we always go back to the marketing piece first, because if it isn't right, the whole thing is just built on sand.
Yeah. And the title should be kind of like a whiplash. It shouldn't whiplash. It should not be something like boring and kind of
it has to be easy to remember, and if it can be something that is catchy, that's better. If it's something
and even controversial, right? Sometimes
it can be controversial. Yeah, and sometimes it can just be what does that mean?
I want to know more, right?
Right, like blink.
Yeah.
Like what does blink mean? Well, it's the subtitle that tells you what it means. Right. Think without thinking. Yeah.
Great, thank you. So another question I have, like, how I would know that it would be a bestseller before I write it? Like, maybe you touched up on this a little bit, but if you can expand.
What you always want to do is look for, what does your audience want? What are they not getting? Where there's a gap that you can fill. And so a really good example of this is, I had a client who was a cardiologist. And when we went into Amazon and looked at his niche, we looked at what people were saying that they were not happy with. And what they were not happy with was that they would say, oh, I could never follow this diet, it's too rigid. Or this guy isn't a medical professional, I would never listen to him. Well, my client filled those gaps. He was a cardiologist and his diet was easier to use. And so that was the perfect way for us to position the title, the cover, the entire book. And then of course you've got to have the right keywords, you've got to have the right categories so that people can find the book. That's another thing. And sometimes there's a disconnect. Like, a woman came to me and she thought her book was about death, and so her title had death in it. It was already done when she came to us. And I said to her, your book isn't about death, it's about the afterlife. And so she had all the wrong keywords and all the wrong categories and everything. And so if people were looking for death and they got her book, they were not going to be happy. And then Amazon would not be happy, because there'd be a lot of refunds. So you got to be careful, and you've got to make sure that you're in the right place and that you understand and you're clear about what your topic is, so that you can communicate it clearly.
And again, it brings everything that you said brings us back to doing really good research at the beginning, right? Not just start writing. Like, I remember when I started writing, I didn't have any training, I didn't have a book coach. And, that's what happens when you don't have a guide who knows what to do. And I was just writing whatever would come to mind, I would write. And only after I started working with a book coach, and she restructured my book.
Right. Well, that's why it's great and it's much better to hire somebody before you start writing your book. And I know people think, somebody taught me how to drive a car. Somebody taught me how to ride a bike. For some reason, people think, oh, I don't need anybody to teach me how to write a book. But it's not true. I mean, there are principles and things you need to do if you want to be successful.
And I like this expression, the only worse thing than running toward the wrong, running in the wrong direction is running in the wrong direction enthusiastically, right? And that's
Right.
what happened with some writers who just write enthusiastically and they moving in the wrong direction. That's I agree with you 100%. I experienced this myself. I see it with my clients that it really helps to work with someone who knows what your next step is and the next and the next one. Okay, so I know that you have your secret sauce, you have your system. So could you just briefly tell us why your approach is different from other book coaches? And tell us, if you don't mind, your 3 secrets to writing a bestseller in 3 days.
Yeah, well, the first secret is doing the marketing research. The second secret, well, there's actually a lot more secrets than that, but the second secret is writing a really great title so that number one, you're excited about it, and number two, it's easier to get other people excited about it, and then you can start marketing right away and start building a list, because most people don't think about marketing their book until after they write the book. I teach my clients to start marketing their book the minute they've decided that they're writing a book and they've come to me. We start marketing right away. So one of the reasons why people don't sell books is they don't have a big enough audience, So that's important. But there's some things that I tell people not to do that most other book coaches tell people to do that I think slow the process down. The third thing, let me just finish that, is the outline. Like, the clearer the outline is, the better. Those are the 3 things. What was I just going to say? Oh, things you don't want to do. I hear people say, oh, just do a brain dump. Like, to me, a brain dump is like the worst thing you can do. It's like all that happens is you've got all this material now. You're overwhelmed because it's completely unorganized. And to me, that's the fastest way to get stuck. That's the whole point of doing the outline, is so that you know exactly where everything goes. Now, if you do an outline and you do a brain dump and then you can plug in what you've done to the outline you already have, fine. But starting with a brain dump, forget it. No. The other thing that I have people not do is book research. Like, a lot of times what people will do is they start researching the book. They go, well, I've got to research the book before I write the book. But they don't know what they're writing yet. They haven't done the marketing research, so they don't know what their audience wants. And they don't know what problem they're solving necessarily. And then they're going to go do book research. And so what ends up happening is they spend a lot of time researching, and maybe they're going to use 1% of what they've researched if they ever get to writing the book. The other thing that people do, though, is they use that to not get started. It's a procrastination technique.
So Ellen, very important distinction that you brought up. When you said that your first secret is to start with the research, it's not research for the book, it's a marketing research. It's researching the need on the market. It's researching the demand on the market. Not researching the content for your book yet, but just start with researching the demand on the market. And
and then the last thing really is scheduling and focus. So one of the things I find really interesting, this just blew me away when I found this out, is 81% of people want to write a book. Less than 2% ever will. But of the 2%, 1 to 2% who write a book, only 3% of those ever finish. And so the longer you take to write the book, the less chance there is that you're going to finish it.
All right.
Yeah. So that's huge. And so that's why I have things in place to keep people focused and moving forward to get it done as quickly as possible.
And
also
Ellen,
accountability.
You help your client to get to #1 bestseller. Like, what would be required? Because when you say you help, it doesn't mean that your company does this. The client has to do certain things herself or himself, right? So could you just cover a little bit what is important if someone wants to get to #1 bestseller on Amazon, or maybe other more prestigious lists, right?
Well, here's the thing: when people say to me, well, I want to be a New York Times bestseller, it reminds me of something one of my mentors said. It's like, if you've never made $100,000 and you say, well, this year I'm going to make $1 million, it's unrealistic. Okay.
And it's discouraging because you will feel,
Right. And well, it's the same thing with books. If you've never if you don't have a list or much of a list and you think I'm going to be a New York Times bestseller, not unless you have $100,000 or more to get yourself there and pay your way on, you're not going to get there. And that's why if you wanted to get there, you would have to spend at least a year, most likely, creating the list and creating the community and creating enough joint venture partners. I mean, all the things that you could do to get enough people. And I mean, to get those kind of numbers, you really need, we're talking about hundreds of thousands or millions. So when people say to me, oh, well, I have, 10,000 people, it's nowhere near enough. I mean, because you have to think about numbers. It's like if you've got 10,000, well, how many are opening your email, right?
So,
and then
Ellen,
how many?
let me just make sure. Let me just sure because unfortunately we don't have a lot of time. Let me just make sure I understand. So you're saying that if someone has less than even 10,000 on the list, they will not be able to get to #1 bestseller on Amazon. Is it right?
No.
No?
On
Okay.
New York Times, New York Times, or
okay.
USA. Yeah, USA Today. But on Amazon, what is great about it is #1 is you only have to get to #1 in a category. And #2, people will say to me, well, how many books do I have to sell? Well, you have to sell one more than the person who's #1 on the day that you launch. So one of the things that we're always looking at when we do bestseller launches is who's #1 and what do the numbers tell us? So we know before we launch who's #1 at the time, and we can look and say, okay, can we beat that or not based on what we've done in the past? So we know what numbers we can get. The other thing about this is that there are announcement sites that have, it's like a cottage industry that has grown up around Amazon. And so these companies have been building these lists, some of them since Kindle started in 2007. So they have the lists. And so we know what announcement sites to go to, what groups to go to based on what your topic is, that kind of thing, so that we can put them in there and get people to #1, even if they don't have a list. I mean, that's the beauty of it, is if you don't have a list, you can still get to #1, but how many books you're going to sell is going to be dependent on how big the reach is.
So there is a big distinction between being Amazon #1 bestseller versus being New York Times #1 bestseller.
Absolutely.
Requirements are very different. And so most people self-publish these days, right? Because to get established publisher, they probably do require hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers, and so your social media presence requirement is very high. So just a ballpark, if you could let us know, if someone wants to self-publish a book, what is the cost requirement? What people need to be prepared to invest if they want self-publish?
It really depends on how much of it you can do yourself, how much you want to do yourself. We used to do like one-offs where we would do, maybe we could do a cover, we could do this. I don't do that anymore. In my business, we have packages. And the reason is I just found that when people would bring in other people or pieces that didn't quite fit our requirements, then I didn't feel like I could help them make it a bestseller because I didn't believe it was done properly. So it depends on that. But our publishing package, for instance, is $6,000 at this point.
Okay.
That's what we charge. A lot of people charge a lot more, 10,000.
Yeah. So that's basically the idea, because I'm a financial coach, so I want to make sure that people are prepared to make this investment if they really want to do it the right way and not feel disappointed, not feel like all these hours and efforts were just waste of time because the book didn't become #1 bestseller even on Amazon.
Right. Well, we have writing programs where they're going to learn to set it up the right way, and then we have publishing, and then the bestseller launch. So our packages for the entire thing, if somebody wants to hire us to walk them through the entire thing, is going to start at $15,000.
Okay.
That's writing, publishing, and bestseller launch.
So give me again the distinction between the 6,000 package and 15,000, because 6,000 if people write themselves, right?
Yeah, if people write themselves and they want us to publish, what we're going to do is we're going to go back and do a marketing and visibility study, and then we're going to do a possibly help them rewrite the title if it needs that. and getting the keywords, getting the categories, getting the cover, formatting the book, and then walking them through actually publishing it on Amazon.
Okay, and that includes Kindle as well, or no?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so my next question actually was that what if someone doesn't feel that they're good writers, and I guess you offer this service as well, right?
Yes, we do have ghostwriting, but whether we do it as ghostwriting or whether you write it yourself, our process is very similar. In fact, when people go through the 3-day bestseller program, which is the writing program, what I always say is if you're not a good writer, don't write it, talk it. But they're still learning the process. It doesn't change.
What do you mean don't write it, talk it? Like record
Yeah,
to
record it.
okay.
Yeah, you can
All right.
talk to a friend, you can just talk on a recorder. You can do it interview style like we're doing, if that, whatever it is that works for you, but you're still using the framework of the 3-day bestseller program.
Right. But they have to write the outline themselves, right?
Yeah, they would do that. But again, in the program, we have mastermind days where you get help. We never let anybody just, sit out there and have to do anything really themselves completely.
Okay,
Yeah.
Wonderful. So honestly, I think you've been really very informative, and I hope our audience will appreciate all the knowledge and experience that you demonstrated today. I really, really appreciate all your answers. I think you were very, very generous with the things that you shared with us today, because you gave us, whoever wants to write a book now has an idea, has like a big picture where they need to start, what they need to focus on, and what they should not do, which sometimes is very important as well. And yes, so thank you so much, Ellen. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
So,
I would just like to say though that you have to see a book as an investment. It's an investment in your future, and too many authors come in and they go, what's it going to cost and how many books am I going to sell? And that is not how we approach book writing at all. We approach it as it's something that gets you more credibility, as you said, more expert status, more impact. You can reach more people. But the main thing is that it opens doors. And that's why that's the name of the company, is because you can now get on stages you couldn't get on before. I have, right. I have clients who end up getting amazing opportunities being on stage with people like Kevin Harrington and President Obama that they never would have gotten without writing that book.
So the return on investment, on investment, not necessarily how many books you sell,
right?
But it's a credibility and growth in your business and scaling your business. So it's a kind of secondary factor that you get. Not you can get a lot of money from just selling the book, but also there is a very important business aspect, growth in your business, whether you do speaking engagements or whether you just work with clients in a form of coaching. It's a very, very good credibility tool, and also scaling tool. You can scale your business using that. So look, I want people who are watching us today to be able to contact you to maybe get some kind of initial opportunity to work with you, maybe some kind of download that you offer. Just tell us how people can contact you.
Yeah, you can go, well, it's Ellen at Books Open Doors. You can send me an email. And on the website is booksopendoors.com. And there's the Rockstar Authors Toolkit is there with all the checklists to get you started. You can see exactly step-by-step how we do writing the book, writing bestseller titles, 21 simple strategies to jumpstart your book marketing online, and the Kindle planner to get you situated with understanding how Kindle works and how you can do that too. So those are there. And then for the first 3 people who want to contact me at Ellen at Books Open Doors, I'm happy to do a complete assessment of your business and show you how a book can fit into that. And we can do some brainstorming. So that's Ellen at Books Open Doors, and just put in a brainstorming.
All right. So thank you so much, Ellen. Thank you for this beautiful opportunity. I really appreciate that.